Hey guys, I'm back. It's Captain Trucker here. We were going to interview Alex, Eastern Dreamer, but I think he's having technical difficulties with the phone, or the link's not working. I'm not sure. But anyway, welcome back to the live stream. We did one earlier. I had to stop it and restart it. So I'm back. Um, but we were talking about, I had some points I wanted to make about kind of the importance of like why expats like need to ultimately unite in the Philippines if we're going to make it out there in all reality, because the thing we all have in common is that obviously we're all foreigners in a foreign land. And shout out to Officer Expat Shannon and the people who are just here. But I had to restart the stream, so sorry about that. But I had some points I wanted to cover really quick. Um, I kind of had like 8 points that I thought were pretty good. Why expats end up divided, all right, the psychology and the sociology behind that. What unites expats in expat demographics plus loneliness rates, Philippine specific stats, all right, and the quote class system escape, the danger of isolation in foreign countries and building a healthy community. This is ultimately, what we need to be doing as foreigners, as vloggers, as people, because otherwise, you know, it's gonna suck. It really is. When you bring the ego into it, believe me, I can be the most egotistical person on the earth if I choose to feed that side of my personality. But you just end up, it's just not cool. It's not. It's no good, and it's not. It just doesn't go anywhere. So we always got to stay humble and remind ourselves, where we came from and where we're going. Because when you start getting into this stuff of like, oh, I don't talk to expats, or I only talk to this group or that group, I only have friends that make X amount of money or work in this type of career, or you know, I want to make sure that I have tons of women. I want to make sure that I have tons of money, and I want a big house. And those are great things. They really are. I'm just joking. No, but I'm just making a point. It's like, um, a lot of guys are struggling, man. This is the reality. This is the truth. A lot of people out there are struggling, and they're going there because they have struggled. All right. And, we can't get around that. We have to face the reality that people need help. We all need help, and everybody needs connection in some way, shape, or form. That's just the way it is. Um, yeah, that was the only thing I wanted to say. Well, I got a lot of things to say. Um, but the reasons expats end up divided is mostly status anxiety. We come from this culture, man, in the matrix, as they call it, where we've constantly been compared to our peers. We're constantly keeping up with the Joneses and all this stuff, and we've worked really hard at these jobs. We've had to deal with, like, you know being numbers in a system, being like cogs in a machine. And it just, like, it's hard, man. And it's hard to leave that behind and to suddenly, like, oh, I'm just going to deprogram and not have those affections anymore. But it's hard to do that. So that's the reality. Anyway, if you're just popping in, hit that like button. I appreciate that. I did a live stream earlier, but it's actually getting dark outside. I've already gone 300 miles today somehow. I was kind of happy about that. Yeah, Alex was going to join. There's something wrong with the stream. I don't know what happened to it. Yeah, that's too bad. Maybe we'll have to restart this whole thing. These are the fears that the pressures, the shared pressures of most expats: financial insecurity, health vulnerabilities, fear of dying alone abroad, lack of family support, limited social mobility, language and cultural barriers. I think for us young guys, or younger guys, sometimes we forget. We kind of take our health for granted. We take the fact that we still have a good degree of money, and a lot of us younger people are still working, right? And so we kind of we forget what that must be like, and I think that can be hard, uh, obviously for other people to understand. Um, but it can be a scary thing, man. Like being in a foreign country on a limited income, and like a lot of guys are struggling, man, because I mean, shit happens in life, and a lot of these guys could have been doing really well when they were younger, and then they lose, their career, or they get replaced by automation, or something happens, and then suddenly they have less, money, man. And it's like maybe they only have their social security at that point. So it's easy for like us younger guys to, maybe look at that and stick up our nose and be like, oh, he did this and that and this wrong in life. He should have saved more and gone out there when he was. But it doesn't. Life doesn't work that way, man. Like you're always throwing curveballs, and that's just the way it goes. And none of us are going through this life unscathed, without scars. Like we've all made mistakes. We all have things we've done that we regret. And, none of us are perfect, man. So that's just the way it is. You know, um, that's the way it is. I mean, that's the reality. Von Dromal says, "Good evening. How are you?" I'm good, thank you. No, I'm not done. I'm taking a little break. I was gonna take like an hour break and then drive another 200 miles or something. Toto Drive says, "Hi, thank you for that. Appreciate that." Yeah, man. I think sometimes, you know, even in the vlogging community, it's hard to start a channel. It's hard to get traction, even if you have a good idea or good content. I mean, YouTube is so saturated that it's hard to, get that going. And that's why I'm very grateful that we've been able to do this for over 2 years. And, a lot of people have stuck with the channel through ups and downs, my own. Because, when you do things week after week on a, kind of a real life channel, because this isn't like the moneymaker type of channel, you know. Yeah, we see different sides to people's personalities, or we see people at their best, and sometimes we see them at their worst, and it's like, I don't know if I've shown my worst yet, but I mean, I've said things before that I'm like, well, maybe I should have framed that a little bit more, uh, well, in a different way or something. But the channel, like, I'm kind of known for being blunt and outspoken, and we throw ideas out there to learn things sometimes. But I don't really apologize for anything I've ever done, because I know the spirit in which I do it, and I'm into comedy, man. I started off doing comedy, and I think somewhere along the way too, life gets kind of serious, and you can kind of lose track of the comedy. The thing I love about comedy is that it's that vibe where everything's going to be okay. We don't have to take all this stuff so seriously in life. We don't have to constantly be worried about offending people. And that's the beauty of comedy. It's in that spirit. And that's also a gift too, because we learn things from that as well. Like comedy is a great teacher, you know. Uh, then Dromal says, some scars heal in places like the Philippines. Yeah, absolutely. Pickle says, hi from Subic Bay. Antoine Monroe says, hey, what's up? I'm a stumble on your channel. I'm a trucker as well. We're headed to the Philippines. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm always going back and forth. I think I've done like 17 trips now. Yeah. Here's are some here's are some stats that I wanted to throw you guys. Yeah, I did all that, Alex. I don't know why it's not working, man. And you should be able to join later too, because when I restarted it, I had the stream open on that. Let me try to share the link again, see if another one pops up. Hold on. hear me? Video? That's my video. Hold on, I gotta re-flip this thing, man. Alex was supposed to be coming in, and now this whole stream is. I don't know what's going on here, guys. I'm gonna close my screen and open it back up. Give me a second, all right? All right, I'm back. Okay. Oh man. But check this out. 52% of expats report loneliness as their number one struggle. 52%. All right. Alex was coming in today, but unfortunately, it's just, I don't know, it's not working. I don't know why. That's kind of sad. Yeah, Alex will come back. Sorry about that. 43% say they feel socially isolated in a foreign country. Divorce rates among American expats are higher than average. Oh, wow. That's got to be bad then, right? The divorce rates in America are pretty high, but they say 50 to 70% depends on the demographic. That seems, I don't know if that's true in the Philippines, though, because it's a little bit more difficult to get divorced there. 30 to 40% of expats return home within 5 years due to isolation or mental health. So most people underestimate how emotionally hard it is to restart life abroad. Internations rank Philippines the seventh easiest country for making friends, but expats still isolate because they only socialize with each other. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. I guess, people want their tribes, man. Everybody wants to be in a group, and that's understandable. And, we see it like in person down there. You also see it in online communities as well. Um, I think what happens with like popular people maybe or people that feel that they're not part of a group or something is like, they tend to lash out or they feel that there's like gatekeeping or something. And so I think that kind of develops like trolls in society and even trolls online and that kind of stuff. So my point in all that is that, it's easy to like blame, one or two guys and say like, oh, they're the worst, they're the ones stirring up all the trouble and they're bad and blah blah blah. But the truth is like these are all collective things that we usually just create. I mean, we see this in like all levels in society, man. It's kind of amazing, you know. Like it's easy to look at the poor broke homeless guy and say, oh, get a job, loser. I mean, I've been homeless before. I've been on that side of the coin. I know what it's like to be regarded as the bottom barrel of society, with people disrespect you and you don't have a dime to your name. It's not like easy to just go like get a job, right? Even if you have the education, even if you have the money, like people aren't necessarily just going to hire you because you want a job. Okay. Um, so yeah, life's hard, man, and if we just criticize each other, if we just criticize expats, we're going to have trouble getting ahead in life, man. And that's just the way it is. I mean, we got to have like a higher purpose here. Otherwise, we're just, I don't know, you know. And snobbery is an interesting thing too. It really is. But the bottom line is like even like certain groups of rich people and certain groups of poor people, like even snobs or people that criticize people, like they're usually like deeply insecure people, and that's just it's kind of the way it is. I mean, if we need to tear down others to uplift ourselves, it just never works, you know. So that's kind of the way it is, man. And I like to do thought exercises and stuff, but yeah, it's kind of weird. Loner from Sacktown is here, Vendrone, Mamal. Lots of homeless people are more educated than us. Miami 52, Knicks 49. There's a ball game going on right now. The class system escape theme. Yeah, it's just weird because I think what we're also doing is like on some level as expats, even as vloggers, where consciously or subconsciously, we're supposed to be leaving this matrix way of thinking, and then yet when we go overseas, we still bring it with us, right? So we're still thinking in terms of class structures and hierarchies and all this stuff. And I just think that's where we're also failing out there because I mean, there's certainly class systems in the Philippines, right? There's groups and families of rich Filipinos, and there's even middle class, and there's people that are poorer than others. But I do think that their society, generally speaking, is more collective, more welcoming to their fellow people, I would think. DJC says, I think we need to separate online connections from in person connections when discussing connections. Yeah, 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 definitely. The danger of isolation in foreign countries, man. Expats with no community support are 3 times more likely to suffer depression. Alcohol dependence is more common among isolated expats. Older expats who isolate and have higher mortality risk due to lack of emergency support. Yeah, all that's true. Noah wants to know how much you can make driving in the Philippines. I don't suspect that much. So there it is, guys. Uh, there it is. What are we going to do? I did a live stream yesterday, actually. I thought it was pretty good. I don't know if anybody saw it. Oh, man. That was good. What else is going on in this world, man? I got to get the latest news. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, isolation, man, is real. Like in a foreign country, I mean, there were times out there where I for sure felt isolated, but that's because I guess I was also, when my son was a baby and stuff, it was a different time for me. I mean, I think in combination with that and also truck driving is kind of what propelled me to make this channel too. What was like the isolation factor, right? And in a sense, some of it because I needed like to keep my mind occupied and talk to people. Uh, but online communication's weird too. You feel something, there's something there, but at the same time, it's like it's so much different in person when you meet somebody and like talk to somebody in person, right? It kind of. I have a flashlight. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Much better. Is that too bright? Yeah, I mean, America is very isolated in a sense. I mean, you know, you're not going to walk down the streets of LA or Chicago and just go up to strangers and talk to them, right? They're going to look at you like you're a weirdo if you're a single person. you know, in countries like Philippines, you can do that. You can literally go up to strangers in the streets, have conversations, and that sort of thing, and that's beautiful. Um, yeah, man. I mean, we get ego sometimes as expats, and sometimes as vloggers we do too. And it's something that we got to keep in mind and keep in perspective. Like I said, I like to do mind exercises sometimes, like I was talking about the psychological hierarchy of of some some vlogger behavior and some viewer behavior, but that's like a really limited scope way of looking at things. And I don't even fully agree with that either. But it's always interesting to look at stuff like that. Because we all fall like in at different times. Like nothing's ever flux. You know what I mean? Like we think in such these linear, simplistic terms of as people. And in the way we treat people and the way we regard things. It's very we're just so black and white. You know, you even see that like in psychology too, which is more abstract than the academics treat it, right? Like psychology, for instance, is a whole field of different studies. You have like behaviorism, you have paranormal psychology, you have like very abstract fields in that field, and yet people are always focused on psychodynamic therapy, like Freudian stuff, right? And they form that whole industry of psychiatry based on that, or parts of that. And that's a whole other thing because that became this cheap system of classification that they used to basically, uh, in my opinion, over medicate society, right? And so you have like 1 in 4 Americans that are basically on these psychotropics, and people supposedly suffering from mental illness, right? Like depression and schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, and they got all these weird. When you open up the DSM and you try to study this stuff, they have all these weird subcategories of it. Like bipolar 2 and like schizo disorder and seasonal disorder. It's just such a fortune cookie of bullshit. But and none of that was even based in science, but they used it to make all this money basically. And it's like just such a corrupt industry. But anyway, my point is that people are suffering, yes. But they're turning that like industries like that are just creating like a vicious cycle of toxicity for people and really not helping them. It's the same with the way they treat the vets. So anyway, my point is that a lot of people are, so it's not a lot, but some people are becoming expats, right? They want to get outside of all that stuff. They want to find meaning. They want to find purpose. And a lot of them are still carrying these old wounds from being mistreated in society. Or, people create their own problems too, obviously. And I think, when you're in the Philippines and stuff like that, if we can't learn to shake off some of that stuff or to start over, it's adjust, you know, hard to acclimate, as they say, but it's still possible. And I think especially for older people, and I'm getting older too. When I say older, I mean really, I don't know, past 30. I mean, you're pretty solidified in a lot of your ways. It takes like extremity sometimes to shake up people's characters, to start thinking in different ways and behaving in different ways. It's not easy to do, but it is possible. And that's one of the themes that I've always talked about on this channel as well, because it's important that, obviously we're not just moving to save money and to get hot women, and those are nice things, but it's not everything, right? And it's like if we can't just get past that, man, we're not going to be ready for this Philippines adventure, dude. And it can just be a bumpy ride. I talk about some of this stuff because I've known what it's been like to be poor. I know what it's been like to be isolated and to live in these countries. I've been there, and at times, not anymore, but early on, it was pretty hard, man. Like, it wasn't easy. For me, maybe on some level, people always want to be appreciated too, and they say that too. Like, when people go from nothing and then they make something of themselves. Sometimes people can even develop, in either case, they can get resentful. And you never want to do that because it's easy to get cynical and to, not appreciate things or whatever. And it's just something that we don't want to do. It's easy to do that. We don't want to do that. Davikar says the body knows what to do with natural cures, but prescription medicines often do more harm than good. I mean, the thing with, there's like the pharmaceutical industry, like, look, there's plenty of good medicines, right? And we're lucky to have doctors and advancements in certain things. 100%, dude. We really are. But in any industry, in any business, we're going to get real, right? There's going to be certain corporations and people that only are stockholders increasing their stock, and they're going to fudge studies. They're going to fudge, what do you call it? What's it called? Test trials and pharmaceutical studies and all this stuff. Like, that stuff can kind of be like manipulated a little bit, you know, and the stuff they did with, like, God, even maybe we shouldn't talk about that. Well, I'll say there's like RFK, for instance. He was on it early because he knew that, and it had something to do with what was it called? I don't want to say the mercury, but there's a supposedly like safe mercury and bad mercury, and it has something to do with like the COVID vaccines. And I think RFK, and I'm really really vague here, so don't quote me on this, but he saw something there, and he knew it was a problem because he started getting a lot of anecdotal case studies and people coming to him saying their kids were damaged and stuff like this. But anyway, my point is that I don't want to focus on the vaccines, but I'm saying, like, there's there's good medicines that can really help people with cancer, help people in suffering and stuff like this. But obviously, there's bad players in any industry, and and capitalism is a good thing. Unfortunately, it can be abused. So that's just the way it is. Yeah, it's just the way it is, man. Like, I got some dental work done in the Philippines, and it was good. I think I had like probably $3,000 or $5,000 worth of work done for like $637. So that was good too. Uh, Flies on the Wall says about 60% of the foreign vloggers in the Philippines are, quote, disgusting. The trucker belongs to the 40%. Hopefully the balance tips. Well, I mean, I appreciate the compliment, but I want people to know, and other bloggers, that I don't see it that way. I mean, I don't see it that way. I think a lot of these, some guys get pulled into things, and they don't realize what they got pulled into, because social media can do that. It can be dangerous. Views, attention, all that can be deceptive. You know, and I had a theory that we're also, it's partially like maybe some kind of psyops, because right now in history it's very popular in this expat Philippines sentiment, a lot of Filipinos want foreigners to come to their country. They want tourism. Tourism represents about 10% of their GDP or something like that. So, right now people are like, yeah, rock and roll, bring in more tourists. We love it. We love it. And so, the algorithm will cater to that for sure. And historically, the thing is that we have these, like, through my opinion, like a little bit of propaganda and a little bit of victim blaming, is that we've created this narrative that Philippines is an easy place to get women and a cheap place to live, which is true in a certain degree, but we've kind of demonized some of these developing countries and taken advantage in some respects. Overall, I think, okay, that's my opinion. Um, like the Ameri-Asians, for instance, like our own U.S. military, like literally left behind dozens of thousands, created like a family tree, a population of kids that were unaccounted for, that didn't get U.S. citizenship, that did not get any kind of funding, that essentially the U.S. government turned their back on. A lot of people don't know that, but that's what happened. And even Congress passed this rule, like something about the Ameri-Asian Act was supposed to give a lot of these kids citizenship or a pathway to citizenship. This is back in the 80s, okay? And what happened was is that I think like other surrounding countries benefited from that, but not the Philippines. The Philippines sort of got the short end of the stick. And it's my opinion that I think this is just too many. That's why there were too many, and it would have cost, the government didn't want to pay the bill basically, and that's kind of what happened. And they even in earlier wars, uh, Filipinos supported Americans in wars, even fought in their wars, and they kind of got some of the short end of the stick on that one too. So I think when there's been obvious abuses, and with that you get some guilt, collectively what you start doing, I think, in a society is you start saying like, you have to start promoting like these negative cases of oh, that one woman was a scammer, and so you hear all the negativity biased, and you hear all that stuff about like bad stuff, but I think overall, foreigners, us, I think we have more options, we have more resources and more responsibility, to where more of that responsibility falls on us as opposed to blaming the Filipinos for stupid shit that we've done in their countries, right? That's how I see it. But anyway, my point is that that's a popular theme of in certain groups, but the other truth is that because of all this stuff in history, I mean, obviously in dating dynamics, you're going to have groups of like scammers in any of these foreigner dating dynamics. And yes, of course, they prowl dating sites, and there's even networks of them. There's people that uh, work together to actively try to scam foreigners for sure. But obviously, that is a small micro fraction of their population. It does not represent close to their whole country. And the truth is that uh, the majority of Filipino foreigner relationships are great, you know, and that you can for sure find great women out there and start a family and all that for sure. Um, and again, with negativity biases, we tend to just hear like bad stories. But and, and make no mistake, I mean, if you're weak, if you have been abused, or you've lived a tough life, or you've made bad decisions, yeah, you can walk into an enemy's hands for sure. And so, vloggers, there's a mixed bag. But going back to your the statement that a fellow made, I don't think 60% of them are bad necessarily. I just think we tend to represent different sides of the coin, and hopefully some of it balances out. The other problem just with the format of videos and getting views on YouTube is you have a limited uh, well, you have limited time to make your point, I guess. It's not like a long form. The live streams are better for stuff like this, I guess. Um, you know, I do think that a lot of people that subscribe to this channel, they like the deeper conversations. I think they do, and maybe some of them don't. I don't know, but I generally, from what I've seen, I think they like, you know, I guess deeper conversations from a psychological, social point of view, probably a little more commentary, I guess. I mean, I do like real life stuff. I mean, this is like my life. I mean, this is what I do. I mean, I drive and talk, and yeah, it's just a trip. Like it's interesting doing this also because you feel things, but you never really know. It's weird. It's like, how do people really look at you? Like, and it can also be humbling because I actually do like criticism. I think there may be an impression by some people, or probably like three people, but three people with a big mouth, that maybe I don't like criticism, but it's not. That's actually not true. I do, because you learn from it. Um, I don't consider, like, a circle of drunken men hurling insults like, "Hey, go suck a dick, you fucking idiot." Like, that's not really criticism. that, that's like a circus something, and but I guess even like that, those guys, maybe they have their place in a way. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. And some people make interesting connections, but at the same time, you can see also where alcohol has severely damaged some expats and some vloggers to where they have like potential in a way, but then they just do something that's totally outlandish or crazy or criminal, and it's like, oh, well, I guess that ruined that. That sucks. But it's an interesting community. It's an interesting population. I was going to have Alex on, but the connection wasn't working. He used to cover like Dumageddon a lot, and he knew a lot. In my opinion, I think he knew a lot about the scene in Dumageddon in terms of foreigners and the temperament and the type of people there and all that. Alex is pretty observant, and he always had some interesting stuff, I thought, to say. Count Chili says, "Trucker, don't overthink about it. We come here because we can relate with you." Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah. No, I guess I'm just doing the live. I mean, this is what we do. We talk about the channel and stuff. Count Chili says, I mean, when you get a bunch of old head foreigners coming in, finding peace and becoming vloggers, at some point they have to find chaos because it's too peaceful. That's that whole thing where, you know, if people are seeking like it's some kind of dopamine rush or some kind of thrill, so as you say, they can be neutral or complacent, and then they'll just create a drama to. Yeah, we're weird as humans, man. We do weird shit. We really do. We're such a strange species, man. It's like we are like this intelligent species on Earth that has a soul, and yet we have this self-destructive side. Like, what's that about? Like most, I think most, like, I'm not saying we're animals, but like biological beings have a innate tendency to want to live, to want to survive, and yet us humans, we have a self-destructive side. It's weird because we're not just fighting with other people, right? We're not just forming groups against other people. We're also, a lot of us are self-destructive, even if they don't realize it. Like you look at the guy with a lot of money, and he thinks he's on top, and he thinks he's on top of everything, and he's on top of all the social pyramids, but he's also like self-destructive because some of them, not all of them, some of them are just you know they're jaded, or they've done corrupt things, or they've lived in corruption and stuff because they told themselves a lie that it's all okay, and that's what everybody does. That's the other thing I've noticed about delusions and delusional people is they well, they really believe lies. It's crazy. It's like, uh, but social media is also fascinating because you can, yeah, because people will put stuff out there. Even I'll put stuff out there for like food for thought, and then but you wonder sometimes, you're like, damn, does that person really believe that? you know? Yeah. All right. Oh boy. Yeah. How long have I been talking for? Should I keep talking? I got to drive more. I got about 200 miles left. Well, I suppose I can talk and drive. I can mount the phone. Do you think we should keep going? Do I have anything more to say? Oh my goodness. Relight off. What the hell is that? Do you see that? It's lighting it up. That is so weird. Look, it's reflective. I never knew that. The seat has these reflective strips. Do you guys see that? It's the light from this doing that. Look, now they're going out. Look at that. You see that? That is crazy. That is the weird. I didn't even know that happened. I gotta grab a tangerine, folks. Yeah, reflective strips. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, I'm sorry that Alex couldn't be here tonight. We had a connection issue. I don't know. Sometimes I start these lives and it has like a copy link to join the stream, and then sometimes it won't work for different reasons. I've noticed that actually. That's happened before, as a matter of fact. Ugh. Okay. You know, yeah. Keeping up with our peers, folks. I mean, who the hell wants to be compared to their peers in general, right? It's what we're trying to escape, man. But sometimes we got to take a hard look at ourselves, and I mean, I do it too. I'll be like, you know, I'll be looking up the net worth of my peers, and I'm like, oh, geez, where do I stand? I got to make sure I'm like above them or something. I'm like, man, this is stupid. I mean, a lot of those stats. I mean, who knows? Um, God, AI is crazy too, man. The stuff AI is coming up with is so strange. Because I have AI analyze like my businessmen versus artists, like in the U.S. So, like a culture in the Philippines would respond to it too, whatever. And how would they rate these different things by category? It's just like it's so, and it's weird. Like some of the stuff is accurate, and then some of it is just like totally inaccurate. So the thing with like AI is like you gotta like keep an eye on it. It's strange. But the stuff, I mean, more often though, I find them like somewhat accurate stuff. But it's also good at like manipulating perspectives too, which is weird. So it can make something like you can have it do like a scientific case study on something, and when you're kind of first looking at it or whatever, you'll really believe it. But it but it might not have accurate data. So it's kind of crazy. I mean, that's that whole thing with like deep fakes and stuff, right? Like that's a problem. It's a problem. It's what it's going to be in the future, man. They're going to have all these AI auditors. I'm telling you, that's going to be a job. It's going to be a big one. But that's that whole thing, man. I mean, that's why people get depressed on social media and stuff. Is you're constantly, especially Instagram, man. That's the worst in terms of like you're always looking at people are always signaling their wealth and their beauty and all this blah blah blah. Here's my hot girlfriend, my stack of $100 bills. I'm standing in front of a Ferrari. What's up? I think what was his name? Rogan was telling a story about it. No, not Rogan. It was Matthew McConaughey. Said there was like a guy in Miami. Um, he was standing in front of this Ferrari or Lamborghini or something, like a really nice sports car, and people were coming up to him and paying him like $20 to take Instagram photos in front of the car. And I think he asked him about. He's like, "Man, that's a nice car." And he's like, "No, that's not." He's like, "That's not my car. I just rented out for the day, and I'm selling. People are paying me $15 to take a photo in front of it, and that's all the guy does all day." Isn't that crazy? Crazy. It really is. Give me 1 second, guys. It's gonna pause. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry for that delay. Um, I have to drive, guys, but I'm gonna film the road, and I'll keep talking if you want. If you want to keep this going. Yeah, yeah, it's amazing stuff. Vlogging Life says, just checking in. I hope you're awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You're awesome too, man. And I want to say, man, I want to start interviewing more people, man. I've been trying to get around to this. I like interviewing Alex for sure. He's been reoccurring sometimes. It's awesome. And I want to get some other people on here as well. Possibly some other vloggers. I haven't really talked to other vloggers that much. That's the thing. And I was thinking about maybe I got to reach out to some people, or I think we tend to get, I don't know, maybe I think a lot of vloggers are just in their own world. It's kind of the way it goes. It would be nice to interview some more people, though. Sometimes people get intimidated, and I maybe I'm not trying to sound like egotistical, but like I feel bad if I ever intimidate people because there was a guy I was supposed to meet once, and because I've met other people, which has been cool that watch the channel. There was one guy I was going to meet. I didn't. I don't know. I think like it was weird. Like at the last minute, he just kind of disappeared, and it was kind of sad actually. And it wasn't anything like it was. I mean, it was his idea, and I'm wondering if maybe he was like, I don't know, got intimidated or something. Maybe intimidated is not the right word. I don't know. Strange. But I like meeting people, man. There was who was it? Yeah, met Alex, Jay. I'm not sure what happened to Jay though. He used to have a channel. He used to be online, man. His channel was rocking and rolling, and then just stopped. It's very odd. That was the guy that actually kind of got me into sprinting, or got me thinking about it. Because I used to jog all the time. I've run marathons and stuff, half marathons, full marathons, 26 miles, 13 miles, whatever. And then Jay put the idea in my head. He's like, you gotta like make sure you're sprinting, like do like 100-meter sprints type of thing. And at first I'm like, oh yeah, another person giving me workouts, right? Well, he actually does train though. This guy's in good shape. It's a strong mother effer too. But yeah, he put the idea in my head, and I thought, oh, you know what? He's right. And then I've started doing that, and it has increased my. Well, also it boosts testosterone too, like high intensity interval training, 100-meter sprints, and all that. It's good stuff. Very good stuff. Magnum Funnel says, how much money can you save per month living in your truck doing OTR? Well, you can. Well, it depends on how much you make and how much you save. I mean, you got to think if you're not paying rent, if you're not paying a mortgage, if you have minimal bills, you can save quite a bit. Yeah, the savings rates among Americans is crazy, dude. I might have my figures wrong, but I thought I read something that like I don't know, maybe like the median 4 to 7% of Americans are saving. No, no, wait, hold on. Yeah, okay. The median they're saving like 4 to 7% of their total annual income, something like crazy like that. And then for people banking over 100K a year, or sorry, making over 100,000 a year, it goes up a little bit higher, like 8 to 10%, but not that much. Maybe a little bit higher. Yeah, the savings rates are crazy. Uh, yeah, so that's lifestyle. Uh, Lifestyle, man. Dude, it costs real money to live the middle class American lifestyle, and it's absolutely true, dude. You know, so anyway, to answer your question, if you're living in a truck, how much can you save? Well, you can do the math, right? Yeah, they say 17,000 people lost their CDL in California. That's crazy, man. And they finally put on rules for like immigrants and stuff. Not, sorry, not immigrants or people that don't have what was it? Oh, it was something. Where's my light? Guys, I gotta turn my light off. Hold on. Okay, there it is. All right. Welcome to the stream, folks. I gotta keep driving. So I am in Idaho. Got all my water containers. I got my tangerines and my water containers. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Please drive to highlighted route.
Sorry for the noise. So when I'm driving, I can't see the comments, but I'll pull over and read them. But you guys, please continue to talk among each other, and I'll continue my ramblings as per usual. Well, I ramble sometimes, but I also stay on subject sometimes as well. So we'll see what happens. What's up with this transhumanism stuff, huh?
Continue on the road.
You know, it's something that I was trying to figure out, and I'm sure there's some kind of there's got to be something with this. I'm sure somebody out there is doing it. But with all of our advancements in medicine, technology, and this and that, I mean, can we clone like hearts, or not clone, but like manufacture maybe like hearts and organs and body parts and stuff? So, that way people won't rot out from the inside, that we can live longer, right? Like you turn 50 and you go for your checkup and you get like a new liver, or you get like a new something. I mean, isn't there something there? Like, why can't we do that? Or even like, I think the brain is more difficult to deal with, but God, with more of this AI analysis stuff, dude, they're going to start figuring out more and more how the brain works. Can you imagine? Because, I mean, even with everything we know, the brain's still such a mystery. The brain is a mystery, man. But seriously, like, why can't? I mean, there's so much we can do. I mean, the crazy things that we make, like, I don't know, autonomous systems, drugs, pharmaceutical stuff. Like, aren't we able to make organs? What was it called? There was yeah. Anyway, I don't know why we can't make organs. I can't figure that one out. Maybe some people are. There's got to be people out there like manufacturing organs. Oh, check this out. This is a true story. When I was doing accountant work, I contracted at this company that was, I can't say who they are, but they were they were created, um, well, basically mechanical hearts, not like a pacemaker, but an actual heart. All right, and it cost like $250,000, but it was an actual like robot heart. And they had people like they were doing test trials and stuff to try to get it approved and everything. What I was saying was the company had I forgot what I was saying. It made hearts. It's crazy. Sadly, they went out of business, but I thought they were on some real cutting edge stuff. Yeah, biological hearts. No, I'm sorry, mechanical hearts. Imagine that. Anyway, this is one of the funs of driving is through way stations. I'll be back, folks. So welcome to the live stream, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a good night tonight. I am just south of Boise, Idaho, man. And I thought you guys might want to see what Boise, Idaho looks like at night. All right, you all have a good night. God bless everybody. Expats unite, man. We don't want to live on islands alone. Reach out to people, help your neighbor, spread positive messages, and support each other, man. It can be a lonely world out there if we're alone. Stay positive, reach out to your fellow man. Stay away from too much of that alcohol. It's Captain Trucker. Have a good night.